Hi, and welcome to a new episode of the Luxembourg PE&VC Stories. Today's guest will be Alon Kuperman. He's a manager and partner at GP Bullhound. Hi, Alon.
Hello, great to be here.
Great to have you here. So let's directly kickstart that interview. What can you tell us about GP Bullhound? Who, when, and how did that whole adventure start?
Who, when, and how? That's great. So, who? You have 180 people across 13 offices today. They are passionate about technology. So this is who we are. How? We are putting the founders always at the center of everything we do. So whether it's advisory with M&A or private placements, investing in those companies, writing research, or creating events, this is how we support the ecosystems. And when? We've been around since 1999. So yeah, 24 years in the making.
Great. I love that angle of passion for technology.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your main verticals and what kind of deals are you executing? And finally, how do you source such deals?
So we only invest in software. So this is our only focus area. But if you want to simplify, the verticals that we look at, we invest in health. It could be the health of our planet. It could be health of organizations and health of people. So with health of planet, that will include ESG or any software that would make the world cleaner, more efficient, and healthy environment. With the health of companies, essentially this is enterprise software, other technologies that make those companies stronger and safer, like for example cybersecurity and AI, and everything that it's making more efficient and collaborative. And with the help of people, essentially supporting people having a work-life balance, enjoying ways to consume data, enjoy applications outside of work, but also software that makes people healthier, better diagnostics, better drug discovery platform. It will be definitely in our realm.
That's a whole positive program.
Yeah.
And also, what can you, or could you share a specific deal and recent deal with us, which you really liked?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were many. One company that I'm personally passionate about is Revolut, a company that we invested in several years ago. This is one of the world's biggest and most successful neobanks. We've been following the company for many years, and for us, a big part of our strategy and the way we make investments is identifying category winners and supporting them to reach their full potential. So we invested in Revolut in the Series D together with TCV, who we've known for many years. And we really like the fact that they are making banking much easier, more intuitive, but also we saw how they're breaking out from their competitors. So this is a deal that I would say followed many years of close relationship building with the founders.
You also shortly described a little bit the GP Bullhound setup, office-wise, etc.
Yeah.
What could you share on that? And also, what about Luxembourg?
Yeah, so for us it's very important to have people on the ground. So unlike other investment firms or advisory firms that have one major hub and then people fly around, we like to be close to the entrepreneurs and essentially keeping our hand on the pulse of what's happening in the ecosystems. So with that, as I mentioned, we have 13 offices, all on our website and actually also expanding. And I think one thing that makes GP Bullhound very unique is that we tend to explore new ecosystems in the early days of formation and then leveraging our entire infrastructure to help and supporting and building those locations. So examples would include Madrid, Manchester, where we've been for several years, and today we're one of the most prominent advisors as well as investors. And Luxembourg is following suit. So we opened an office a couple of years ago. We have a full team here, including senior deal makers. And we are in the lookout for great companies and great entrepreneurs.
Good to hear. What happened over the 2 last years at GP Bullhound?
Well, 2 years at GP Bullhound is equivalent to 14 years anywhere else.
I can't imagine.
So a lot has happened. When I think about how we entered and came out of the global pandemic, as well as other, I would say, challenges throughout the last, I would say, two decades plus, is that we were always vigilant and conservative entering into the pandemic, into any challenge, and I would like to think we're also coming out of it stronger. So I think with the last 2 years, we've definitely been a thought leader in terms of companies that are benefiting from tailwinds pre and post pandemic. We've been very active in terms of both investing and advisory. We've had our 2 best years across the whole firm in 2021 and 2022, which was a difficult year for technology. And for us, we're not ones that are kind of chasing the trend, but rather ones that have identifying long-term secular trends and support over many years. So the last 2 years were very busy for us. We came out strong, and we also think that now is a great opportunity for what's to come.
Good to hear that you had lots of resilience and also managed to stay out of different pitfalls like COVID and also then some other exposures. What do you think about the Luxembourg infrastructure and ecosystem right now? Any suggestions?
Well, the Luxembourg ecosystem and infrastructure, I would say, are almost 2 different things, but they are merging. So the infrastructure is extremely strong. I mean, you have so many funds that do have presence here and extremely strong support from the government. So with that creates a real robust infrastructure to start building an ecosystem. But the tech ecosystem in itself is very young. You had a few success stories with companies that, in the several hundreds of millions, but still, normally these are first-time founders and kind of generation 1. But what we're seeing is a trend of more and more activity happening here, funds that are, attracting both capital, but more importantly, human capital. And some of our colleagues in the industry are spending more significant amount of time here. We're also seeing different clusters emerging with interesting companies coming out of space technology, fintech and blockchain, as well as enterprise software and AI. And that starts creating, I think, information spillovers and an ecosystem that's in its making. We love that because that means that we can really support the young founders across everything that we do and grow together with the industry. And then maybe one more thing, we see Luxembourg as a gateway to all of Europe for historical reasons and also being so well connected. So that also gives local businesses here an amazing advantage.
This is great to hear, and you're also a pioneer since you also have an investment banking and advisory arm here.
Yeah.
Great. Now let's move on to the more personal questions. Alon, could you tell us what you studied and how you entered the industry?
So I studied economics at the London School of Economics, and I remember when I was in my first year at LSE, I didn't even know what investment banking was, but everyone was talking about investment banking and how cool it was, and one just had to become a banker. So I kind of joined that, sausage factory and came out an investment banker, surprise, surprise. And that was in 08, 09 when I started my career. So going through the financial crisis, I spent my first few years at Merrill Lynch. I became Bank of America. I got really good experience with M&A, but I wanted to go into the buy side. And at the time, technology was not such a developed sector, especially not in Europe. And we're talking 15, 16 years ago. So when I was sort of interviewing for the next buy-side role, I wasn't particularly looking to move into technology. But I think my background as an Israeli, where, as you may know, Israel is quite an established tech ecosystem, somehow I was naturally drawn to be working with tech founders. And so when I moved to Silver Lake, which is a large US, now global buyout firm focusing in tech, people asking me, but why go into such a small niche of technology if you can go to oil and gas or real estate? But I believed in that. And then fast forward 15 years later, technology has become ubiquitous. And I feel like I've grown alongside the entire European ecosystem.
Excellent choice. And Israel is indeed really a very strong ecosystem too. What kind of advice would you like to give to young talents who would like to join the industry and, let's say, the field?
Well, I would say, first of all, is to think long term and what would be, the trends that will shape how we live and work in the next, decade or two, as opposed to chasing the hype. And if you really believe in what you do and you're passionate, you will find a way to make it a reality. And then I also think building businesses sustainably. So, not kind of budgeting or having kind of more resources than you currently have is always a good thing, but also particularly in this environment. And then the last thing, I think it's all about the people and the culture that you're building. So with every person that joins the companies on these ventures, they need to be accretive to the overall culture.
Great insights to share with then our young talents of the next generation. Any specific leader or person who inspired you, be it for your personal life or professional life?
I didn't prepare for this question, but I think throughout my career, I was very lucky to work with several individuals that have really inspired me. And I consider myself lucky because I learned from all of them, I would like to think, and kind of trying to take the best traits. So it's not kind of any celebrity, but in our sector of technology investments and advisory, there were certainly individuals that had some very specific personality traits and drive that I learned a lot from.
Yeah, that's a good one. All the traits bringing you to collective intelligence. Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Any book, series, podcast you would like to share with the audience?
Actually one book that I would recommend is The Paradox of Choice. And I think in a world that is abundant with goods, choice, optionalities, it is very hard, so it's very easy to become distracted, opt into not making decisions, or falling into the status quo. So I think that book kind of teaches you how to focus on what's good enough for you, and kind of be content with that as long as you're honest with yourself, as opposed to kind of always trying to maximize some kind of utility that is a never-ending chase. So for me, that's a recent book that I found pretty inspiring. The book is more about economics, but you can apply it to any part of your life. Okay, great reference. So let's stay focused, and thanks a lot, Alon, for joining us for today's interview. Amazing, thank you, I enjoyed it. Super. So, dear audience, dear members, it was really a pleasure to see you again, and we are already planning the next episodes of our different interview series. See you soon, goodbye.